I have been on a heater, a 75 match win percentage over 55 matches, and today we're making some adjustments to that list and seeing how it goes. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. These are the changes that I would like to make to the Epic Storm. If you didn't check out my last video, I would definitely do that. Check that out above, where I cover things like Urza, Saga, plus other changes. It's highly informative. Go check that out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But today, we're going to talk about this list instead, where the biggest changes in the mana base. I am playing a Badlands over Volcanic Island. That is a change that I made going back to 16.0. I only played the Volcanic for maybe 15 or 20 matches. And what I realized was with Urza, Saga, and No Ponder, you don't need two untapped sources, so you only need the one Underground Sea. So we swapped Badlands in for Volcanic Island, which helps you cast Beseech the Mirror, but it also helped you cast the sideboard Abrupt Decay that we are not playing today. Even though we're no longer playing Abrupt Decay, I still think it helping cast Beseech the Mirror is better than Volcanic Island because we just don't need double untapped blue. Underground Sea plus the Undercity Sewers does a lovely job. So we swapped out the Misty Rainforest for Verdant Catacombs, which means that Bloodstained Mire and the Verdant Catacombs can get all of our fetchable lands. We like that. Alright, so that is the change in the main deck. Everything else should be the same. In the sideboard, Peer into the Abyss. So this is another change that happened, and I've really liked it. So since adding it, I've actually cast this Peer into the Abyss 9% of the time, which is pretty high for a sideboard wish target, because it allows you to beat Pyroblast against Painter, which is incredibly popular, and it helps beat Consigned to Memory, Veil of Summer, Leyline of Sanctity, Graveyard Hate, like Fairy Macabre Surgical Extraction, which makes this card just so desirable right now, especially when people aren't playing Orcish Bowmasters. Even if they are, you can draw half your deck and then play a Veil of Summer. So Peer into the Abyss is good again because of all of the increased hate. If the format shifted again and the hate went down, I could see cutting it, but for now, I think it makes a lot of sense. So we're playing Peer into the Abyss. Abrade over Abrupt Decay. So this change is a little bit more controversial, and I've been playing Abrupt Decay. It's been fine. It comes in against blue decks because it can destroy Null Rod, but the truth is, you have a 2-of for their 1-of. Like, it just doesn't come up very often. It's a hypothetical answer that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, but the reality is, it's just almost non-existent in the number of games where it actually matters. So what has been mattering is Blood Moon plus Vexing Bauble or Chalice of the Void on 0, just locking me out of the game. A lot of the time now, we rely on Veil of Summer for beating Vexing Bauble or Chalice of the Void, and when they combine those cards with a Blood Moon, we're just stone cold dead, and that's become a problem. So previously I looked at Burning Wish options like Shattering Spree or Bifrost, things like that, but I never really loved any of them. So I never ended up playing it over the wear down. And then over the course of my last 150 matches, I went back and actually checked how many times I played the wear down. It's less than 3. So do you want to play a card that is a hypothetical answer for things that you use 3 times over 150 matches? It just doesn't seem practical to me. So we're no longer playing the wear down. If you like it, play it. We all don't need to play the same list. That's okay. It's just, I think it's a little bit of a crutch, and I'd rather get more value out of my sideboard. So I'm no longer playing the wear down. And Abrade being an answer that gets you out of that lock between Blood Moon and Vexing Bauble or Chalice is pretty desirable to me. Not only that, you can play it off of Urza Saga mana. So Saga plus Badlands or Commercial District makes this happen. And I think that's just really good. We still have the Haywire Might. I've been loving this card. I would even consider a second at some point, possibly over the wishable option, like a Wear Down, Bifrost, Void Snare. I think out of those options, the sorcery speed options for Burning Wish, I probably like Void Snare the most at this point. But I also have been really liking Haywire Might for the ability to grab it off of Urza Saga, but also it's a creature, so you can play it the same turn and then destroy a Deafening Silence or something like that. The life gain, the fact that it pumps up your construct tokens, it's just been really good. So the newer card is Silent Gravestone, and I have to give some credit to Magic Online member Velgrum, who's a community member in the Storm Discord, for finding this one, and I think it makes perfect sense in the sideboard. So the idea is that it's an Urza Saga target against decks like Blue-Black Reanimator, Cephalid Breakfast, Oops All Spells, Graveyard Strategies. Okay, so it stops them from targeting cards in their graveyard. So no Dread Return, no Memory's Journey, Reanimate, Animate Dead, none of those work because you can't target cards in graveyards. So that way it buys you a little bit of a time, and in a pinch, you can exile all graveyards and draw a card. Okay, sure, whatever. The bottom part is mostly flavor text, but the fact that it pumps up your construct tokens while stopping your opponents from winning the game by reanimating something that's going to kill you or trump your construct tokens is very good. So the other thing that it does is on turn 3, your Urza Saga card comes off of suspend. You go get a Silent Gravestone. So then you can play, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, go get a Gaea's Will. And now your opponent cannot play Surgical Extraction or Fairy Macabre to stop you from winning the game. They cannot target cards in your graveyard. So it means that Gaea's Will is better in post-board games. Okay, we like that a lot. Because in post-board games recently, Gaea's Will has been not the best. So in order to get around that, we have the Silent Gravestone, built-in protection that you can grab off of Urza's Saga. So this has only come up once for me, but my sample size is very small. And I want to keep on testing this to make sure that it's worth playing. Initially, I thought about something like Grafdigger's Cage, but with Grafdigger's Cage, you can't flash back an Echo of Aeons or win with Gaea's Will. So I think that Silent Gravestone is just better. So it stops your opponents from winning the game, but also protects your combo while allowing you to win the game. So you might be saying, why not play this main deck? Well, Surgical Extraction, Fairy Macabre, those are not main deckable cards right now. So we're playing it in the sideboard where those cards are more relevant. And I believe that is the big change. A lot of people have been asking me about Approach of the Second Sun. As of right now, I'm using this card in 8% of my wins. That is better than I would have expected. The card's just really good right now with the One Ring running around. So I don't plan on cutting Approach of the Second Sun. If you want to, be my guest, but I think it's a mistake. I think that card is here to stay for the foreseeable future as long as the One Ring is legal. That is my long deck tech today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I love hearing from you, but I would like to play some matches now. Hopefully you want to watch some matches, and I will see you in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to the first match. We are on the play. I have no idea what our opponent's playing. They have a wide range of decks under their MTG Goldfish history, and they reveal a Yorion Sky Nomad. Okay. So here, this means Death and Taxes are most likely that deck that just won the Showcase Challenge 2 weeks ago. I'm going to keep this because we could just start with the Construct Beatdown pretty early, and I like that. Okay, so I'm going to play Urza Saga here and just pass the turn. I could play out the Chrome Mox on turn 1, that is certainly an option. But I'm just not sure if I want to imprint a Brainstorm or Veil of Summer. Those cards are so valuable, and I just worry that it's not a good idea. Crocus into Aether Vial could be Death and Taxes. This is not a good hand versus Death and Taxes, but I think they're more likely to be on the deck that won the Showcase. So I'm going to choose to believe that they are. I will now play a Chrome Mox. Imprint the Dark Ritual, I think. Pass the turn. Aether Vial will go up to 1 counter. Alright, it's an island. It is the deck from the Showcase. Another Aether Vial, sure. We will create a Construct token. And now we'll draw for turn. Another Veil of Summer, not bad. Activate the Construct, or I'm sorry, the Urza Saga to make a Construct token. And now we will search. Let's grab a Vexing Bauble. We'll play our other Urza Saga here. And now we'll attack for 4. I am the beatdown. Hear me roar. Boom. Alright, they're at 16 now. End step, they cycle a Lorien Revealed. In their upkeep, Aether Vial triggers. So one Aether Vial will go up to 1, the other will go up to 2. Volcanic Island. They put Yorion Sky Nomad to hand. Interesting. Okay. The Lotus Petal is the draw. We'll play the Verdant. I could try to play out Petal here and then make a construct, and those would turn those into 6s, but I don't think that actually makes a huge difference here. So I'm going to go to combat. They activate the Vial, Gilded Drake. This is target. I'm going to try a Veil of Summer here. So this should fizzle, and the Gilded Drake sacrifices will swing. Before damage, let's fetch. And I think I want the blue source for the Brainstorm. And now I will make another construct, and they'll take 10 down to 6 life. Okay. So now they have a Vial on 3 and a Aether Vial on 2. Tundra. They have 4 cards in hand. We know one of them is a Yorion Sky Nomad. Teferi Time Raveler. So this can bounce a construct. Sure. Okay, so now we'll draw Burning Wish. Let's activate the Urza Saga to make another construct token. And we'll grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. So I could Veil of Summer and play out Lotus Petal here, but that's going to take away my ability to win with the Burning Wish later. That's protected. So I'm not going to do that. We'll attack both at our opponent. I don't think attacking Teferi really matters much here. And I cannot Veil of Summer in response due to Teferi Time Raveler. So they're going to bounce and then block and then bounce their creature with Karakas. So this was the perfect card for them to have here. Okay. Unfortunate. We have to pass the turn. In their upkeep, they activate the Aether Vial. Sure. And now they'll bounce my construct token. They plus Teferi Time Raveler. And now, during their main phase, they're going to bounce the creature with Karakas, and then they can put it onto the battlefield with the Aether Vial on 3. And they're going to bounce their Teferi here. Interesting. Okay, sure. And now they're going to bounce the Vexing Bauble. I could sacrifice it here. I'm not going to, because by allowing it to be picked up, I could beat double Force of Will on my turn. They play a Plateau, and now they draw a card. Sure. Okay, so we'll draw for turn. It's another copy of Burning Wish. We'll play the Lotus Petal. I want a Brainstorm here. That was very good for us. We'll put back Burning Wish and the Verdant Catacombs. We'll play another Lotus Petal. We'll play Vexing Bauble. A Force of Will. I cannot respond with Veil of Summer. There is still a Teferi Time Raveler on the table. But I can play Veil of Summer now to draw the Verdant Catacombs on top, assuming that this card resolves. And it does. Alright, so we'll play our land. Let's move to combat. I will attack them for 5. They block. Sure. And now we will fetch. Grab the Badlands. Tap for red. Sacrifice the Lotus Petal. I will hold control. And then I will play the Burning Wish. Sacrifice Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 black. Yes. And we will select Tendrils of Agony. With the Teferi Time Raveler in play, it is a friendly reminder that you cannot bargain a Beseech the Mirror. So going for the main deck Tendrils there would not have been good. Alright, going into game 2. So this sideboard has 4 Consigned to Memory, 2 Deafening Silence, 4 Pyroblast effects, 3 Fairy Macabres, and a single Lorien of the third path. So we probably want Thoughtseize for those Consigned to Memories. I don't know how I feel about a Braid. They do play a single copy of Lavinia Azorius Renegade. You can beat that with a Veil of Summer. So I'm not sure if we actually want to bring in a Braid. Haywire Might answers Deafening Silence, so I think we do want that. So the question is, like, do you want Silent Gravestone against 3 Fairy Macabres? I'm not sure. I think I'd rather rely on Thoughtseize clearing the way in this matchup. So we're at 64 cards. We do need to make some adjustments here. I like boarding out 2 copies of Mox Opal and then a single Chrome Mox. This has us at 61. So then the question becomes, what's the other card that you get rid of here? That's a much tougher decision. I know that Alex likes boarding down to 2 copies of Chrome Mox as well. I could see shaving a Galvanic Relay against the deck that has 4 copies of Consigned to Memory. So that's another choice. You can also cut a single Vexing Bauble because they only have 4 Force of Will. That is the entire list of cards that hits. And I think I'd rather do that. Like, one copy of Vexing Bauble is probably fine. Alright, so we've opened up a strong hand here. I'm going to keep this. I'd like to draw like a Lotus Petal or a Chrome Mox. Those would both be great draws here. Arid Mesa. And they just pass by the looks of it. 5 cards in hand. Undercity Sewers is a good draw. We'll play that. Surveil. Do I want the Haywire Might? They did not lead on a Deafening Silence. I think I'm going to keep it, which might be a coward's move, but I have a Brainstorm in my hand, so I can get rid of it, and if they play a Deafening Silence later, I can still access that card. Thundering Falls, so they probably have a Pyroblast in their hand if they're searching out the Thundering Falls. Okay. Tundra. No turn to play. Still 5 cards in hand. We'll play the Bloodstained Mire and pass. Okay, no end step play either. Land number 3. Recruiter of the Guard. I think I should allow them to get their card here. It's probably Lavinia. So they have 4 cards that aren't Recruiter of the Guard in their hand. And it is, in fact, Lavinia Azorius Renegade. On the end step, I will Brainstorm. Thoughtseize, Burning Wish. So we're actually kind of far away from this Beseech the Mirror being relevant. So I want to get rid of that. And the Haywire Might isn't great here either. So I can get rid of these 2 and then use the Burning Wish for the sideboard Beseech the Mirror if that's something I want. So now we'll go grab the Commercial District, and we're trying to find another artifact for Mox Opal. Another Veil of Summer. I think we keep this because it could protect my Thoughtseize. And this way, if they for some reason switch to Surgical Extraction, I don't get punished. We'll play the Badlands. Let's play Thoughtseize. They decided to not protect the Lavinia. I am surprised. Okay. And they do have a Fairy Macabre consigned to... This is a very good hand. We'll take the Lavinia. Pass the turn. I am honestly very surprised they had the discipline there to not force of will to protect the Lavinia. I mean, that was a good play by the opponent. I'm not trying to say otherwise. It's just, it takes a lot of discipline to make that play. All right, and they're holding up the Consigned to Memory here for my Galvanic Relay. We draw the Verdant Catacombs. What to do? I'm going to test the waters with the Veil of Summer here. They forcible exiling to Fairy Time Raveler. We will fetch in response. Grab the Bayou. So they no longer have to Fairy, Lavinia, or Force of Will. And now I will play Veil of Summer. So we should draw 2 cards here. Another copy of Burning Wish was not ideal. Storm is 3. And now we draw off this Veil of Summer. Thoughtseize. Okay, I think I'm going to choose to not go for it, and instead I'm going to play a slower game because we've shredded the opponent's hand here. Why would I keep on allowing them to come back? Alright, so they have Recruiter of the Guard consigned to memory. I'm going to take the consign, and then if they tap out for a Recruiter of the Guard, and then get something I actually care about, we have Burning Wish into the sideboard Thoughtseize. So we know about Recruiter of the Guard, Fairy Macabre, and then Yorion that is still in exile. They attack for 1, I go to 12. Wasteland, sure. So we know their entire hand now. They play Recruiter of the Guard. I would love to draw another Lion's Eye Diamond, because that means we could play the sideboard Peer into the Abyss and then easily win the game. We have 1 fetchable land left in our deck, and it is a copy of Underground Sea. Just something to remember. And they get a creature I don't care about here, so that's pretty interesting. Echo of Aeons. So we can grab... Well, I just want to think through this one moment. So I can Burning Wish for Thoughtseize, exile the Fairy, and then they can flicker and grab another creature. My graveyard actually doesn't have enough mana here to win with a Gaia's Will yet. I think I just want to relay for 3. It's not exciting, but I think it's the right move. We'll play Galvanic Relay for 3 cards. Veil of Summer, Vexing Bauble, Tendrils of Agony. Okay. The Tendrils was not a great hit. They attack for 2, and now they're passing. Brainstorm. I can't actually cast that at the moment, but I can if I play the Vexing Bauble, so we'll do that. And now we'll play Brainstorm. More copies of Burning Wish. Okay, so we'll put those back. And now I can play the Veil of Summer. So this is going to make sure that my Vexing Bauble doesn't counter my own spells here. And I can Echo of Aeons. It's a little bit of a feels bad just because I needed more mana this game and we were really mana hungry. And when I Echo, I have the Tendrils in exile, but this deck has 4 copies of Consigned to Memory. So the Tendrils likely isn't going to get the job done. Let's flashback Echo. Storm count is 5. They can use the Fairy here to exile a Lion's Eye Diamond and a Burning Wish. Let's see if they do. No Dark Rituals this game in the top 34-ish% of our deck. 1 Lion's Eye Diamond. And they do hit Burning Wish, Lion's Eye Diamond. That's what I expected. Okay. So best case scenario here would be off the Echo of Aeons that I draw like Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize. Or enough mana to go Burning Wish into Tendrils. Alright, so I could play Tendrils of Agony. It would not be lethal. We'll play Lotus Petal. Play Urza Saga. Triggers. And I think I'm supposed to still play the Tendrils here. Alright, Tendrils of Agony for 14 life, assuming it doesn't get countered by Consigned to Memory. And it does. Okay. So I'll gain 2. End step, they flash in the dog. Sure. They play a basic Plains. Broadside Bombardiers. So they're threatening to kill me very quickly. So this is 6 damage plus 5, so they could put me to 1. Pretty good. They target Recruiter of the Guard with the dog. So on the end step, Recruiter of the Guard will come back. They didn't fling anything with the broadside. And they grab a Fairy Macabre. So they can exile Tendrils of Agony. Oh, they did use the broadside on the end step. My bad. I'm at 2. So now Urza Saga will go to the second chapter. Relay was not a good draw. Unfortunate. So we'll play Underground Sea. We have to get a little lucky to win this game now. Blue, red, green. Song of Creation. We really struggled this game because I was so close to winning for a long time. And then we just couldn't draw mana. That was the big choke point this game. And we drew 2 duds off the Song of Creation. So we are deterministically dead and we will concede. Bummer. Okay, so off to game 3. I was so far ahead, we just needed a little bit more mana. I'm going to keep it as it is. We'll resubmit and hopefully just draw a little bit better than we did in the previous game. Game 3 on the play. Sure, we'll try this. They took a mulligan. We'll play Urza Saga and pass the turn. Once again, I don't really want to... I could just jam the Chrome Mox on turn 1. My fear with that is, what if they just open up on a Wasteland and then I can't do anything? Deafening Silence. That's obviously very good. Okay, so we're going to rely on this Urza Saga a little bit here. A fetch land. We'll play Chrome Mox. Imprint the Burning Wish. Underground Sea. Pass. We do have the Haywire Might to get off of the Urza Saga too. They have Wasteland. So that's devastating. We'll make a Construct. They have 5 cards remaining in their hand. We need to draw into another copy of Urza Saga or just the Haywire Might. Attack for 3. They cycle a Lorien Revealed. They play the island Ajani. Okay. So now they get to create a cat. On the end step, we will fetch. Let's grab Commercial District. Echo of Aeons. That is a good one to put to the graveyard. So if they have a Fairy Macabre, they could do that now. And they do. Okay. They have 3 cards remaining in their hand. We draw Tendrils of Agony. Less than ideal. We will attack for 3. They block with their cat. This will transform the Ajani. Maybe I shouldn't have made that attack. That might have been stupid. We'll play Burning Wish. Yes. What to grab? Alright, this is terrible. I'm grabbing the empty. I can't even play Beseech the Mirror here, so unfortunate. This is definitely a spot where a Grapeshot would actually be good because it could kill the Ajani by killing the cat that it would make and then clear the way. But it's a little bit of a corner case, I will admit. They make another cat with the Ajani. They fetch. They put Yori into hand. Okay. Attack the Ajani. And now we will play Empty the Warrens. Our opponent's thinking a long time here. Okay, they let it resolve. I think they were considering counterspelling that. They play Arid Mesa, Broadside Bombardier. So now when they play a cat, I'll take damage. They can kill a goblin token. Echo of Aeons. Let's Thoughtseize, see what they're working with. Force of Will, Recruiter of the Guard, and Yorion. I think it's just Force of Will. And then I'll attack the Ajani. Surprise, surprise, they block, and we'll pass. I know that things seem really bad right now, but if I could just draw an Urza Saga or the Haywire Might, like, we're still very much in this. They kept a card on top. Another Wasteland. Recruiter of the Guard. And they pick up a Lavinia. I'm going to cycle the Veil of Summer here. It's just not very relevant. I understand I could use it to play out artifacts later, but that already assumes that the Deafening Silence is gone. I draw the worst card in the deck here. Okay. They make another cat, the Ajani triggers. So we're definitely seeing the lack of Abrupt Decay in this matchup. That said, Deafening Silence is not a popular card that sees play. That is an illegal block. I cannot do that. Like, Deafening Silence really doesn't see a lot of play here. So this is the first time in a while where I would have wanted Abrupt Decay. So it's not perfect. We did face the deck that has Lavinia, Deafening Silence, to start off the league, where I tried cutting Abrupt Decay. So it looks bad. I get that. But I still think it's worth trying the no Abrupt Decay list out just to see. Like, my win rate is so high with the other build that I want to make sure that I'm not missing out. Okay, so I will put back Tendrils of... Actually, is Tendrils better than... Probably not. Alright, so I can grab... I actually can't play Song of Creation here. I don't have another untapped blue. We are forced to pass. Okay, so the cat happens. Ouch. And for what it's worth, like, even if I scrub out of this league, my win rate with the Saga builds is so high. And, like, playing lists like this where you're trying something new can still be very productive. Because I would like to know, for example, how much Abrupt Decay really matters. And if I play a league with a Braid instead and I find out that it actually does matter, which I'm not sure if it does. This is one match. That information is valuable, and now I lose the game here. But good match. GG's to the opponent. A Braid over Abrupt Decay, bad against a not very common deck in the format, so I will say that. But tough loss. We're 0-1, 4 matches left to go. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Time for the second match. We're on the draw. I have no clue what our opponent's playing, but I'm going to try this one out. And in between matches, Lotus Petal, I went and looked up the number of matches that I lost to. Looks like we're just getting crushed here. Okay, turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday. So I looked up the number of matches I lost to Blood Moon plus either Chalice of the Void or Vexing Bauble. So I don't have exact number of games, but I do have the matches. So I looked up Moonstompy, Painter, Sneak and Show, 1 mono red sneak attack, but out of my 14 losses, 6 of them were just to Blood Moon plus Lockpiece. So roughly 50% of my losses theoretically could have been answered by a Braid. I don't know how many times Abrupt Decay versus a Deafening Silence mattered. If I'm being honest with you, I'm pretty sure it's 0, but I just don't know 100% sure. And then out of all of those matches, I know that I never once used it versus a blue deck to kill Norod because it just doesn't come up that often. So last match was a little bit of an anomaly, and now we're going to try to bounce back because sometimes you just lose in Magic and that happens, but I still like winning, so let's try to do that. Alright, so our opponent has finally resolved Doomsday, and they have revealed 3 copies of Force of Will. So there's one either in their hand or on top of their pile, and we have drawn Echo of Aeons. So Echo's good here because we can protect it with the Veil of Summer. Honestly, one of our better draws. But the problem is our opponent is still going to be able to untap and win the game. So this Echo needs to be pretty amazing. We will Veil of Summer. They play Force of Will. What did they exile? A Brainstorm. So if I Echo, they're only going to have 2 cards left in their deck. So they're going to have 2 cards left in deck, and one of them is going to be Force of Will. So they're going to have Force of Will blue card when they untap. If I pass the turn and they play Brainstorm, they still have enough cards to win. 1 Brainstorm, 2 Brainstorms, 3, 4. So Brainstorm is not in their pile. If it's Consider, they could go Consider, mill Thassa's Oracle into like, what is it called? Unearth. That means that they have to have a mana in their hand as well. There's only 1 Edge of Autumn here. So that is something that I've noticed. I feel like most lists play 2. So there's an edge somewhere in their pile. I don't think they can kill me. I'm going to pass. So they have 7 cards between hand and deck. And now they Thoughtseize me. So they have 1 card between hand and deck. So they have 5 cards between hand and deck, my apologies, plus the Thoughtseize. So if we Echo, I can... So they're not going to deck, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. Like, it's really close, but it's not lethal. So they're going to go to 7. They take the Brainstorm, surprise, surprise. Another diamond. Okay, that was actually amazing. So we've hit Runner versus Doomsday. We'll add 3 blue and 3 black. So they're going to draw into a Force of Will. So our new hand has to beat Force of Will, which is very scary. We'll leave 1 blue floating. That does not beat a Force of Will. That was quite terrible, actually. Okay, so what can we do? I guess we hope that the Force of Will is their bottom card, and I will play a Burning Wish for Thoughtseize. Yes. Grab the Thoughtseize. Cast it. No way! No way! Really? I'll take it. Wow. Insane. I played to my outs. I guess that can happen. Insane, though. We'll bring in Thoughtseize. And then I think you want to shave 2 copies of Mox Opal and 1 Chrome Mox. Let's resubmit. Game number 2, our opponent has kept 7. We've opened up a hand that just is not good enough. We have to send that back. This hand is delightful. We will keep in bottom Brainstorm. They play Underground Sea into Tamiyo. Sure. Echo of Aeon's an amazing draw here. Let's start with the Urza Saga, because that means that on turn 3, we can grab a Lion's Eye Diamond with the Urza Saga, assuming that I live that long. We'll play Vexing Bauble. And they're going to Force of Will, exiling Brainstorm. I could fight here. I don't think it's actually correct. So I am not going to fight with the Veil of Summer, because if I fight over the Veil of Summer with the Force of Will, the Bauble resolves, and then on turn 3, I Echo with a Bauble that I then have to pay a mana and sacrifice for later. So the argument for doing that play is that it stops the opponent from killing me this turn or next turn with Lotus Petals, but a lot of Doomsday players board down on those anyway. So I'm not sure if that's a play that I want to make. And here they play a Psychic Frog. So now our Urza Saga will go to the 2nd chapter. We will fetch... Actually, I was thinking about playing Burning Wish here, and now I'm having second thoughts. I think I'm only supposed to grab a Commercial District. Another Saga that can go to the graveyard. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was thinking about just like grabbing Beseech the Mirror on the off chance that I drew Dark Ritual. And then I started to think about it, and I'm like, well, that means that my Echoes need to have a bunch of black mana. Thoughtseize. I'm going to Veil this. Hopefully, if they have a Force of Will, they use it here. They Brainstorm in response. This will transform the Tamiyo. Okay, so Tamiyo is now transformed. We draw Beseech the Mirror. And then the Psychic Frog will redraw a card that they put back off Brainstorm. I lose the game to a Force of Will now. And now we'll draw. The Urza Saga happens. We can go grab our Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Bloodstained Mire. Let's make 3 blue. Flashback Echo of Aeons. We've had a few mana late draws so far. Not what I love seeing. It resolves. Okay. Let's play a Brainstorm. We definitely don't want Gaia's Will, so we'll put that back. Actually, is Gaia's Will imprinting to Veil of the Chromax to cast Veil of Summer something we want? So if I put back Bauble Bayou, is that better? But Bauble, if I resolve the Bauble, it prevents them from killing me next turn, which is something I do care about. So maybe I don't want to do that. Alright, so we'll put back Gaia's Will Bayou. And now we'll fetch. We'll grab Underground Sea. Play Chromax. We'll imprint the Burning Wish. Dark Ritual. And now we'll play Vexing Bauble. And that just resolves, so that's good. And Galvanic Relay for 6. Another Vexing Bauble, Galvanic Relay, Undercity Sewers, Badlands, Veil of Summer, and Mox Opal. Not the best. That was the fear that I had imprinting the Burning Wish. They play Brainstorm. Weird that, I mean, I guess you would do this if you thought you were close to winning. But I don't think they are. So I think that you should attack and then play the Brainstorm. Because I don't know how you'd win through a Vexing Bauble, but I don't know, I've been wrong before in my life. They attack now with the Psychic Frog. Discards another copy of Psychic Frog. Discards a Doomsday. Discards another copy of Psychic Frog. Discards Basic Island. So they're going all in on the beatdown Frog plan. And I'll take 5 down to 12. They discard Misty Rainforest, so I'll take 6. That puts me down to 11. So they draw here. They sacrifice the clue on the end step. They can return a card with the Tameo. So that is lethal next turn. So if I don't draw into something, we're in trouble. And now they return Brainstorm. So is it better here to cycle Veil of Summer or the Bauble? I think it's probably better to cycle Veil of Summer. What did they tap the island for again? Was it the Brainstorm this turn? How does that make sense? I can't remember why this is tapped. And why would this be exiled? That was exiled to the Force of Will earlier, so why is this tapped? I'll cycle the Vexing Bauble. I mean, I think I would have preferred the Veil of Summer, but I can't think of why this Underground Sea is tapped. Great draw. And of course we draw Gaia's Will, right on time. Alright, so let's play Mox Opal. And I could play one of these lands. The fear with that is if they don't respond to anything, then I have to try to spike a Echo of Aeons off of Sewers or a draw off the Bauble. And that's to have double Veil of Summer open. I don't think I need double Veil of Summer open. Let's try the Lion's Eye Diamond here. If they have double Force of Will, I'm going to be in trouble. They did not force. Okay, so let's try Vexing Bauble. So once again, they have 4 cards in hand. Psychic Frog is at 6 power plus the clue. So that means that they have exactly 11 damage next turn if they don't do anything. We will play an Undercity Sewers. I would love to see an Echo of Aeons here. That was not an Echo of Aeons. Put that to the graveyard. Let's try a Veil of Summer to see if they're foolish enough to respond. They are not. So, like I said, we are dead on board. So I think one of the few ways we could win this is me drawing into Beseech the Mirror. And Beseech the Mirror would be 5, 6, 7, 8. It would just be enough to keep me alive. That's best case scenario here. Or I could just try to spike one of my 2 remaining Echo of Aeons. The problem is the Beseech line isn't even meaningful, so I'm not sure if that's a play I want to do. And if I draw a Brainstorm, I could theoretically hit perfects off the Brainstorm. So let's just sacrifice the Bauble. Burning Wish is not going to do it. I will pass and die to the Psychic Frog, assuming our opponent just does the bare minimum here. They draw off the clue, so they did do what they needed to do here, plus their draw step, so that's 12. They play Thoughtseize. And they still have enough to kill me here. Yep. And now they attack. I want to see what the rest of their hand was. Force of Will. Consign to Memory. I had a feeling in my gut that they had a Consign in hand, but it's not super common. It's just like why they paused in mannerisms like that that made me believe they had a Consign in their hand. So it's good to know that it's there. Alright, so game 3. I'm just going to resubmit. I think we have the correct board plan. Let's try it out. Alright, game 3, we're on the play. Good hand, we will try it, keep. Alright, our opponent is taking a mulligan. And I think I just want to lead off on the Thoughtseize here. See what they're up to. Dark Ritual, Doomsday Daze. Good hand. We'll take the Doomsday, play out the Lotus Petal, and then we'll pass. Underground Sea, into Ponder. Yep. They did not shuffle off the Ponder. Brainstorm is a good draw. We'll play out our Bloodstained Mire just so that way Daze affects us a little bit less. Play the Brainstorm. Interesting. So I think I just want to maximize Relay here. I'm going to put back both the Vexing Bauble and the Beseech. Play Mox Opal. And hopefully they try to Daze a Chrome Mox here. They do not. No. We'll play Chrome Mox. No. And now we'll fetch and then play Galvanic Relay for 5. Okay, 5 cards coming off the top. Lotus Petal, Urza Saga, Gaia's Will, Lion's Eye Diamond, and a Thoughtseize. That could have been better. They play Misty Rainforest and a Grafdigger's Cage. Sure. And now they fetch. And it's probably going to be the Tamiyo. Yep. Burning Wish was a delightful draw. Let's begin with the Thoughtseize. We'll take the Daze, play Urza Saga, Lotus Petal. Maybe I should have thought through this, because I think I might have just messed up. Because I could have gone Burning Wish, Beseech into Song of Creation, play Lotus Petal, and I can't do that in this order. So I just threw a little bit. Alright, so our opponent's final 2 cards in hand are Consigned to Memory and Daze. Storm is 3. So Burning Wish would be 4. Beseech the Mirror would be 5. And then I could play 4 more spells because 3 more copies of Beseech into Tendrils of Agony. But that would only be 18. So I could make a gigantic Galvanic Relay. That is something I could do here. Alright, so let's play the Burning Wish. I will sacrifice for black. We will grab Beseech the Mirror. Play Beseech the Mirror, bargain away Chrome Mox. And I think I'm just going to Galvanic Relay for 6. Alright, 6 spells coming off the top. Veil of Summer, Lotus Petal, Galvanic Relay, Echo of Aeons, Song of Creation, and a Lion's Eye Diamond. So that was actually fairly good. They drew and played a Misty Rainforest. They attack with the Tamiyo. This will investigate, which means they create a clue. I'll take 0. And then we can untap and try to win the game with Song of Creation. Urza Saga goes to the second chapter. Blue, green, colorless off of the Urza Saga, and then red off the Mox Opal. We'll play Song of Creation. And we have a lot of triggers here. They fetch in response. So they can draw a card with the clue. But even if they drew Forcible, I have the face-up Veil of Summer. Dark Ritual. And your last card in hand is Consigned to Memory, right? Sure. I guess you were hoping to draw into Force of Negation, which doesn't beat the Veil of Summer that you can see anyway. I think in hindsight, me playing out the Lotus Petal early ended up being a good thing. Like, I should have thought about it, but with the Relay and how it played out, having Song of Creation this turn that doesn't get its trigger countered by Consigned to Memory, because I have so much else going on, ended up being really nice. Our opponent plays a Daze, so I still know that their last card in hand is Consigned to Memory, so I'll just play the Veil of Summer here. We draw another Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond from hand. Okay, we'll play Bloodstained Mire. I guess I can go fetch my untap land. So it would be the Badlands here. Play Lotus Petal. One thing you don't want to do here is you don't want to put multiple triggers on the stack at once for them to counter with Consigned to Memory if you can help it. And now we'll play a Diamond. And don't forget there is a Grafdigger's Cage in play, so I cannot flash back Echo of Aeons. We'll play the Thoughtseize to get rid of the Consigned to Memory. They should have countered that trigger, but oh well. We will turn off auto yields. We will play Vexing Bauble. There's a song trigger here. In response, I think I messed up again. I was supposed to play Chrome Mox first. Oh well. So I've already committed. We'll just do this. Now we'll cast Brainstorm holding priority. In response to that, we'll add black, red, and blue. So I understand that I missed a slight, little thing there, but ultimately we're so far ahead that it most likely won't matter, but I should still play better. Like, it's not really an excuse. We'll draw 2, and then the Vexing Bauble. We'll draw a card off the bauble here using a blue mana. Play Dark Ritual. We will draw 2, and now we can finish the game off with a Tendrils of Agony. Storm 13. Okay, so we've had a couple of tough matchups so far. We had the deck that won the showcase, the Jeskai Vile deck, which has main deck Lavinia, sideboard Deafening Silences into Doomsday. So we've had a tough path so far, but we're 1-1. Hopefully we can continue winning, and I will see you in the third match. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Time for the third round. We're on the draw. I'm going to keep it. So I faced our opponent a couple of years ago, and they played nothing but elves. So I'm going to assume they're still on elves, but I don't really know. Elves with Lotus Petal, I doubt it. Uh-oh. Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal. They make a blue. Riddlesmith. We're facing Riddler. Okay, not a matchup where we wanted to lose the die roll. Okay. I have to hope that they somehow fizzle here. Mishra's Bauble. They discard an Urza Saga, 1 mana floating. Another Mishra's Bauble. Losing the die roll was not what I wanted. Discards a Gamble. 2 cards left. If it's Lion's Eye Diamond Echo of Aeons, I'm going to be so sad. Aether Spellbomb. Discards Gamble. 1 card left. So we're getting a turn here. Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh, I spoke too early. Their last card. Okay. If they drew and discarded an Echo, they were still live. So there was a chance for them there. But now I get a turn, so we can try to win. I'm going to play Chromox and print Brainstorm. Hold on. If I imprint the Echo Brainstorm. No, that doesn't work. All right. We will imprint the Brainstorm here. Play Brainstorm. Does that give me a win? I think it might. So we can put back 2 lands. No, it doesn't give me a win. I'm 1 mana short. It would give me a win next turn. But do we get another turn is the question. Alright, so I'll play the Verdant. Play Chromox. So playing the Brainstorm there cost me a little bit. Because I could have had 1 extra mana available post-Echo. But I was thinking that with a reasonable draw, I could have set myself up for success with like a Brainstorm back into Beseech line. Or if I had 1 more mana with this Burning Wish, we had a clean Gaia's Will win. But I'm 1 mana short, so that's not an option. We'll imprint Beseech the Mirror, play Lion's Eye Diamond, and now we'll draw a new hand with 2 available mana. Storm is 5. Flashback Echo of Aeons. Good hand, please. So there's a chance. I mean, we're not out of this. I need the Brainstorm to be good, but I've had worse happen. And I'm 1 mana short of hard casting this Echo. So something I could do, hold on, is I could guarantee the ability here to Echo of Aeons to the graveyard, so we should do that. Alright, so I'm going to hold control, we'll fetch. And I guess hold control on that wasn't what I wanted. But I guess it takes away Beseech winning, but there's only 2 Beseeches left and Tendrils. So we'll grab an Undercity Sewers. This trigger's still on the stack, we will Brainstorm. And now we'll put back Land, Echo. And now we can Surveil the Echo to the graveyard. Dark Ritual. And then Flashback Echo of Aeons. So we're still in a similar spot where we only have 2 mana, but now our Storm count's super high. And this is lethal, so we got there. Lion's Eye Diamond. Sacrifice this for a red. We will hold control. Play Burning Wish. Sacrifice the diamond for green. I'm sorry, for black, not green. And Tendrils of Agony. Let's cast it. This is a nice turn 1 win. Okay, so the Surveil land looking good here. Love it. Okay, so we've stolen game number 1 from Riddler. Now we're on the draw, which is not good. We'll grab some Galvanic Relays, bring in Thoughtseize. And I think that's probably the only change we want to make. You could bring in Haywire Might, but I don't think that's actually good. So we will submit this. Alright, time for game 2. Our opponent's kept 7. I'll be honest with you, my opening hand likely does not matter. They're going to Echo of Aeons. So I'm keeping this hand. That said, we're probably getting a new one. But I think Vexing Bauble is incredibly good in this matchup, so I'm going to keep a hand that is capable of putting it into play. They play Riddlesmith, 4 cards in hand, Lion's Eye Diamond, digging for Echo of Aeons, and they discard it here, so they have a turn 1 with Echo. So we'll get a new hand. My new hand is incredible. Please pass the turn. Pretty please. Pretty please. Do not echo me again. Don't do it. Don't do it. Come on. They play Urza's Bauble. Discards Chrome Mox. That's interesting because Chrome Mox here not only triggers the Riddlesmith for them, it also draws a card. So the fact that they're discarding a Chrome Mox is not a good sign for me. They discard Echo of Aeons. I hate that. Okay. Another Chrome Mox. So we're getting a new hand here. Discards Urza's Saga. 4 cards left. Imprints Breakthrough. Interesting. And now they can gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond. Yep. Hopefully they discard it. They did not. Okay, so they won their 66% die roll, which obviously, you know, was bound to happen, or likely to happen. But now they get to draw 7 with Echo of Aeons again. Okay. I mean, this hand is also very good, but now they've drawn 7 with an untapped mana. Mishra's Bauble. Discards Orcish Bowmasters. Lion's Eye Diamond. Discards a Gamble. So that's another bad sign for me that our opponent is close to winning. Urza's Bauble. Discards Vexing Bauble. Another Urza's Bauble for them. We'll slide my sideboard down here. Discards Chrome Mox. 3 cards remain. Another Mishra's Bauble. Discards Gamble. 2 cards left. They play Vexing Bauble. So that's obviously a problem for me. I would need to draw a Veil of Summer. And then they can play out... They can use their baubles and draw 5. You drew a Lotus Petal. Play Commercial District. We'll put Urza Saga to the graveyard. Pass the turn. End step, they're going to use all their baubles. So they're going to draw 5 here. Untap. Draw a 6th card for turn. Possibly a 7th with the Vexing Bauble. And then probably kill me. Okay. So they draw 5 off the bauble triggers. After their draw step, they have 7. So they must have had 1 card left in hand that I didn't realize. They sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. And here we go again. And they discard Echo of Aeons. Another Mox Opal. Mindbreak Trap. It's gross. Chrome Mox. Discards Grapeshot. Imprints Gamble. Plays another Lotus Petal. Discards Riddlesmith. I'm a little surprised by that because that is a card you'd like to play out when you're going to Echo. Because it guarantees your ability to draw your whole deck almost. Another Vexing Bauble. Okay. Discards Ancient Tomb. Bowmasters. Sure. And now they're going to Echo of Aeons with a ton of mana floating. Okay. I go to 12. They have 7 cards here. I still can't beat a Vexing Bauble. They sacrifice the Bauble. All they have to do at this point is just find the Grapeshot. Another Riddlesmith. They have 6 cards, so their ability to just keep on churning here. And another Echo. I'm going to save myself some time here, because honestly, just watching this is not very fun. So I'm going to go to the next one. Like, I've already lost the game. I just don't need to make them go through it. Alright, so we're on the play. Let's try it again. Actually, on the play, I think I want all 4 Thoughtseize, and let's get rid of the Veil of Summer. Okay, let's go. This one was really close, but ultimately I don't think it's good enough. We'll go to 5. I'm sorry, go to 6. This hand's kind of a stinker. It has turn 1 Thoughtseize, but nothing else going on for it. We will go to 5. I suppose we keep this. Mox Opal, Dark Ritual on the bottom. Okay, so we want to fetch for Underground Sea, play Thoughtseize, because then on turn 2 I can Brainstorm plus fetch. So that works out quite nicely. We'll play the Thoughtseize. That is a hand. We will take Lion's Eye Diamond. Pass the turn. Ancient Tomb. They'll play the Vexing Bauble. I don't even care at the moment. We draw Lotus Petal. Let's play the Brainstorm. We can put back the Lotus Petal. And the Chrome Mox. I could play out my own Bauble here, but we know that our opponent's hand doesn't do anything. And they're not going to sacrifice the Bauble unless they can play out some zeros. So I can just wait, grab my other Surveil land, and then play out the Bauble next turn. On the end step, we'll fetch. And now we'll grab the Undercity Sewers. Surveil. It's a great one to put to the graveyard here. Love that. And now we'll take a draw. It's Badlands. Another good draw here. Or good find. Wow. So lucky. Veil of Summer on top of the deck. So we're going to be able to play through their Vexing Bauble on our turn. And we did see a Mindbreak Trap, but if we have Vexing Bauble plus Veil of Summer, it counters their Mindbreak Traps, even if they sacrifice their own Bauble. And then we can play through Mindbreak. So we're in a wonderful spot here. Assuming that the Echo finds a win. We will pass the turn. Spire of Industry. They have 3 cards. So I'm slightly worried here about an Orcish Bowmasters. There's only 2 of them in the deck, though. I do know that. So we'll play the Badlands. Let's play Veil of Summer. See if they respond with the Bowmasters. Okay. So the question is, do you leave open red for lethal or a blue for Burning Wish? And I think red is probably better in this spot. So I'm going to leave open 1 black and the Badlands. Our opponent taking a long time on every action now. They either have Bowmasters or they don't. So I don't know what all the waiting is for. Oh, they have Surgical Extraction. Okay. A little surprised by that. Maybe I didn't look at the deck list close enough. That's brutal. So I guess if I had realized this, I should have gone Dark Ritual, Flashback Echo, Hold Priority, Veil of Summer. And now I've just burned 2 cards, so that was less than ideal. Okay. Okay, so there's 1 Surgical Extraction in the deck list. So... And then there's 1 Mindbreak Trap. There's 4 Orcish Bowmasters between main deck and sideboard. And there's only 1 copy of a Braid to get them out of the Vexing Bauble lock, and then they have 1 Haywire Might. So we'll draw the Opal, just pass here. And now they have the Bowmasters. Sure. They're going to play Gamble. So this probably grabs Echo of Aeons, and if they're fortunate enough to discard the Echo of Aeons, which they were, I'm dead next turn. So our opponent has hit a couple runners this game, unfortunately, and now I'm going to die. Because next turn, all they have to do is flashback the Echo when I lose. So I guess I could draw Veil of Summer, that keeps me alive, but things aren't looking great. We draw Bayou. I will pass the turn. Urza Saga goes to the 2nd chapter, and it looks like they don't want to flashback the Echo of Aeons. They want to wait until they can answer the Vexing Bauble first. They give me another draw step here. Thoughtseize. So that actually puts me dead even if I draw into... Well, I guess I'm dead to the Construct token too next turn. So I'm dead no matter what. Yeah, okay. I guess I just lose this. The Surgical was a card I was not expecting. And I theoretically could have played around it a little bit, but I didn't. So now when they... if they decide to flashback the Echo of Aeons here, even if I draw Veil of Summer, so they could target with the Orc army themselves or, you know, something else. And the Veil of Summer protects me, but this creature can still grow. And that's the problem. Because it will grow, and then even though I'm at 11 life, this will become 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm just dead. So they decide to make another construct here. Are you not going for the win? What's the deal? They grab a Mox Opal. And now they're going to attack for 6, so I'll go to 5. They play a Riddlesmith. On the end step, we'll sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. I take 1 off the Bowmasters. We draw a Chrome Mox that is not very helpful. Song of Creation. So there's a chance here, but I have to draw Veil of Summer off the first draw. Okay, so... Whoops. Here goes nothing. Can I spike one of my 2 copies of Veil of Summer? Song of Creation. Whoops, I must have tapped wrong again. There we go. Nope, didn't. Okay, Song of Creation. I have 2 copies of Veil of Summer here. We have to draw 1. So I will draw 2. Actually, I should have played the Opal. That was dumb. All right, let's see it. I did not hit the Veil of Summer, so we lose. Even if I were to play an Opal here, I'll show you. Because let's say, hypothetically, I'm lucky enough to spike the Veil of Summer here. And I did. So unfortunately, we weren't at 6. I can now respond with Veil of Summer, but I will draw off the song first and die to the Song of Creation triggers before I can resolve my Veil. So we were 1 life short this game. It's a bummer. And now we're 2-1. I'm sorry, 1-2. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, time to bounce back. It's the 4th match. So we've had some difficult matchups so far, I think that's fair to say. Doomsday, the Jeskai, Vile deck, and then Riddler. Like, none of those are really matchups I want to face. So the fact that we're 1-2, I'm not terribly surprised. We also lost the die roll to Riddler. You know, whatever. But we're trying to bounce back now. A 4-lander against an unknown deck. Also, our payoff is a slower card in Relay. I think we should mulligan. This hand is very good. We will keep. Put Beseech the Mirror on the bottom. Alright, our opponent has also taken a mulligan. I will lead off on Lion's Eye Diamond. Urza Saga. And then with that Saga, we will play Vexing Bauble. Pass the turn. They play Verdant Catacombs. We draw another Veil of Summer. Okay, we'll just play the Verdant and pass. I'm not really sure what they're playing quite yet. Undercity Sewers. Okay. Probably not something fair unless it's like Reanimator. Brainstorm. They play another copy of Verdant Catacombs. On the end step, we'll fetch. Grab Commercial District, and Surveil. I would love another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond, thank you. Alright, so we're going to draw the diamond. We'll now tap the Urza Saga for a colorless. We'll go grab another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond, play the Veil of Summer, and now we can play the Lion's Eye Diamond, which won't be countered by the Vexing Bauble due to Veil of Summer. So our spells cannot be countered. So now we have this like one-sided like City of Solitude type card here, and we can try to win. All right, we'll flashback Echo of Aeons with a ton of mana floating. 7 total mana floating. Echo. We find a Burning Wish. So that's 9 mana, which is Peer into the Abyss mana. I would like to go deep into the Abyss. Yes. We'll grab Peer into the Abyss. Target myself, and we'll draw 25 cards. Play Lotus Petal, and we should be able to win. So you might be saying, like, couldn't you have won without Peer into the Abyss here? Yeah, maybe. We probably had to Echo or, like, Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing Vexing Bauble with just Dark Ritual available. Like, I'm sure there are other ways I could have won, but this is the way that beats the most things, because what if our opponent is a crazy person, and they have a Stifle in their hand. Game 1 Stifle. Or, what if this is actually the mirror match? And if it's the mirror match and they have a Veil of Summer, and I go all in and losing to Veil of Summer. Something along those lines. Like, there's just no reason to take the risk here, when I could take a safer route with Peer into the Abyss. Let's play a Brainstorm. Put back Bloodstained Mire and the Bayou. Why not? Lion's Eye Diamond. And our opponent has not F6'd, which tells me that they have something. Because they clearly value, you know, holding open whatever instead of time. So I'll play Dark Ritual. I'm probably going to Thoughtseize them and see if they'll concede. They allow that to resolve. Grab the Thoughtseize. Play it. Don't concede. Don't do it. They fetch in response. I think that this is going to be Veil of Summer. I think we're playing the mirror match. And it is. Okay. So I'm glad that Peer into the Abyss exists. So now we need to win using Approach. I still have a land drop here. We'll play Chrome Mox. Imprint the Relay. Gaia's Will is underneath my Chrome Mox here, so that's not a card I actually want to play. So we will fetch. This is going to be a little obnoxious, but eventually we'll win. We'll play Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrifice Mox Opal, Song of Creation. We'll play the song. Okay, and now I'm going to hold priority and cast Burning Wish. In response, we'll add 3 blue and 3 black. I draw a few cards. Burning Wish, yes. We'll grab Approach of the Second Sun. Let's Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice Chrome Mox. We'll draw 2. Another Lotus Petal. We'll grab a Dark Ritual. Play Dark Ritual. So that brings me back up to 5, but now I get a few song triggers here. Lotus Petal. I'm trying to get to the point where I can cast Approach before I have to Echo. We'll play Bayou. Play Mox Opal. And now we'll draw 2. Look at those diamonds! Alright, so now we can... I don't even know if we'll need to Echo. I think we just have it. We'll play Approach. And now we'll play Diamond. So this means that after these 2 draws, Approach will be 5 down. Yeah, we don't even need to Echo. Alright, so now we'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. It's 3 down. We'll play Lotus Petal. It's 2 down. And now I can... How do we want to do this? We'll sacrifice for white. Sacrifice for blue. I'll draw off the Vexing Bauble. And we'll play Approach, which will put me down to 1 card left in my deck. No Echo of Aeon's loop needed. Boom! Alright, we have gotten game number 1. In the combo matchups, we like bringing in Thoughtseize. We'll board out Galvanic Relay. Hit submit. Really, really slow hand in the mirror. Our opponent has taken a mulligan. I think we should too. This is better. We'll keep bottom the Chrome Mox. Underground Sea. Into Thoughtseize. Yep. Our opponent takes the Vexing Bauble. We draw Veil of Summer. We'll just play Verdant here and pass. They play Brainstorm. And now they play an Urza Saga. So that confirms that this is the mirror match. Lotus Petal. And on the end step we will fetch. Grab an Undercity Sewers. Put the Saga to the graveyard. We don't need that. Untap. Play Brainstorm. Alright, we found a Vexing Bauble. I think we might want the land. I could be wrong. So my gut here tells me at least 1 Brainstorm. If I put back the land, I get to keep another... Maybe that's just better. We'll play the Lotus Petal. And now we can fetch. We'll grab Bayou. And play the Vexing Bauble. Pass the turn. Their Saga will go to the 2nd chapter. Bloodstained Mire. We'll take a draw. Another Burning Wish. Let's play Brainstorm. Brutal. Okay, we're in trouble. We'll hide a Brainstorm on top. Pass the turn. End step they fetch. Brave Badlands. They activate the Urza Saga. And now Saga will go to the 3rd chapter. Our opponent tanks for a little while, then decides to not make a construct token. So they must be close enough here that they're deciding that the construct token is not worthwhile. Our opponent plays Lotus Petal directly into Vexing Bauble, so they probably want the Storm count here. Dark Ritual, okay. And they're going to flashback Echo of Aeons. We will cast Veil of Summer in response, and then hope that we get to untap. Ooh, that's brutal. Oh, that is awful. That was not good. Our opponent plays a Brainstorm, Verdant Catacombs, they fetch, and Burning Wish floating 2 black. So they can play Tendrils of Agony for 7 and then attack me for 1. They grab Wear Down. Okay. So they're still on the Wear Down list. I mean, nothing wrong with Wear Down. It's like a fine card. They do not gift me a card with the Wear Down. I'll draw here. And we'll see if they can cobble together a win. The Dark Ritual is not awful, because now if I draw Beseech the Mirror, there's a chance we can win. Assuming our opponent doesn't kill us here. They play a Lotus Petal, Storm is 8. Chrome Mox, Storm 9. No imprint. Lion's Eye Diamond. Another Lion's Eye Diamond. All the mana in the world. If their last card in hand is Burning Wish, if they're playing Peer into the Abyss, they can cast it. It is. So are you playing Peer into the Abyss? If they sacrifice for black, they can Beseech the Mirror into Gaea's Will, and then Gaea's Will Beseech the Mirror again, go get Song of Creation, play a bunch of zeros from your graveyard, and then try to approach at the second sun, win that way, which is also very effective. That's actually what I would do here. Let's see if our opponent knows about that line. They grab Echo of Aeons. So they had what was likely a deterministic win, and instead they're going to play Echo of Aeons. They flashback Echo, and this hand is just short of being able to win if we untap. I could put Song of Creation into play, and then play a couple Mox Opals. Our opponent keeps on casting Dark Rituals, though, so they must think that they're in the driver's seat in regards to like winning this turn. Throw Mox, imprints Thoughtseize, and now he Beseech the Mirror, floating 4. It's Burning Wish. Are you playing Grapeshot? Is that what this is? And they are playing Grapeshot. Okay. So that means that their song line, or the line to not do Beseech the Mirror into Will into Song makes sense if they're choosing to play Grapeshot. Okay, so they win game number 2, and now we're on the play for game number 3. I don't know if I love their sideboard choices, but also, like, it's good to play different things. That's how, like, we end up making the list better, is if we're all not playing the same stuff, so I don't mind it. But I've played enough Grapeshots and Wear Downs to know how I feel about them. Alright, so we're on the play. I could choose to bring in the 4th Thoughtseize, but I think I'm actually just going to resubmit. Veil of Summer is just so good against Vexing Bauble and the sideboard Thoughtseizes that our opponent brings in that I don't want to risk not being able to draw one. Alright, it's game 3, and we're on the play in the mirror match. Unfortunately, I don't think that this hand is a keep. We will mulligan. This hand's interesting. So we would bottom, excuse me, probably the Burning Wish, play turn 1 Saga, Lotus Petal Thoughtseize. Hope to see a turn 3. I think that's not terrible. We'll play the Urza Saga. They kept 7. And the upside here is if they Thoughtseize me back, they will be discarding Echo of Aeons. And they opened up triple LED Echo of Aeons. What? Uh-oh. We're in trouble. Alright, take one of the diamonds. Pass the turn. So our opponent's going to be playing Echo of Aeons on the first turn with a minimum of 3 floating mana. And they drew a land. I mean, this was a perfect hand to be on the draw in the Storm Mirror. Your Thoughtseize proof. You have the high probability of a turn 1 win. I'm quite jealous. Okay. They fetch with Bloodstained Mire, Underground Sea, and a Brainstorm. So even if I had turn 1 Vexing Bauble, they also had Veil of Summer. They found the 4th diamond. No way. Oh, geez. We need them to draw, like, just, like, 7 lands. Wow. Yep. We're dead. Okay, well, welcome to Legacy. Weird to play the Brainstorm after Dark Rituals unless you, like, it's just like a weird situation. Like, you play Brainstorm looking for action, or you do it here for Storm. Like, it's just strange to me. But what do I know? I'm not in their seat. But if they're looking for action, they should have held the Dark Rituals. It's just tough to know without actually seeing their hand, but it's just like a little bit of strange sequencing. They play a Chrome Mox, and now I'm just dead to Beseech the Mirror, Tendrils of Agony. They imprint a Veil of Summer. They play Veil of Summer, sure. Dark Ritual, their final card is Burning Wish. That'll do. So we have lost the mirror match, and we are now 1-3. Not a great league for us, but sometimes that happens. Let's just try to win the final match. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? The final match, we're on the draw. I will keep. I don't really know what our opponent's playing here. So, not the best league for us. It's been Jeskai, Vile, Doomsday, Riddler, and the mirror match. And our opponent now leads off with a Chrome Mox and Prince Simeon Spirit Guide. So I guess we'll at least get to test the Abrades here. That's a Silver Lining. Chalice of the Void on 0, Chalice of the Void on 1. Okay, so we are not playing the Wear Down today. So if I find a Burning Wish, we would not be able to get out of it that way. So what I can do in order to win this game is find Urza's Saga and then start making construct tokens. Okay, so our opponent plays a Vexing Bauble into their own Chalice. This is your average prison player combo turn here. Just not knowing what's up. And we actually find the Burning Wish, so not having the Wear Down here is costing me. So that is valuable information. So, I mean, these are the things that I like seeing when I'm testing. Because even though things aren't looking great, this is information that I can use later to help better build. So I could 1-4 this league, and honestly, I would not be upset because losing happens. Like, leagues are ultimately pretty meaningless, if I'm being honest. At least they are to me. And if I can learn something, that helps me better win at a upcoming tournament or something else later on down the road. So I don't mind that. So, for example, I've been playing this Silent Gravestone over Wear Down, and this is a game where it cost me. And that's just good information to have. So I know I'm becoming a little bit rambly and, you know, saying the same thing over and over, but it's true. Like, those are things that I care about. And I don't think we're going to be able to beat the broadside here, so we can concede. So now what I'm interested in knowing is if these abrades matter at all in the post-board games. Like, are they easier to cast than Abrupt Decay? Does my opponent open up on Blood Moon plus Bauble or Chalice of the Void? And can I use this to get out of the lock? Like, those things are good to know. Alright, so now we'll get rid of Galvanic Relay, board out Vexing Bauble, and then side down 2 copies of Ailsummer on the play, and see how this goes for us. Alright, game 2, we're on the play. I don't know about this. I think we're supposed to mulligan. It's just too slow. It's weak to Blood Moon. There's a number of things that are wrong here. We'll keep and put the Guy's Will on the bottom. Our opponent kept 7. I'll lead on Underground Sea plus Brainstorm. We find a Braid. No red mana at the moment. We can put the Beseech the Mirror on the top. And an Echo, I suppose. And then we can imprint the other Echo. Pass the turn. So that way our Chrome Mox gets in underneath a Vexing Bauble or Chalice of the Void on 0. One thing I'd like to note. Most Moonstompy lists don't play both Vexing Bauble and Chalice of the Void in the main deck. Our opponent is doing both. So that's a little unique to them here. And I just find that slightly interesting. They have a Magus, which I can actually kill with the Abrade underneath Magus in the Moon. So that is a slight point in favor of Abrade. And this is a card that we're playing specifically for this matchup. So I could not play an Abrupt Decay here. I can play an Abrade. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, sure. They attack with the Magus. Before damage. No. 2 damage doesn't matter. Let's just go to their end step. Because if they play Chalice of the Void on 0, I want to think about it. Okay, so we will now deal 3 damage to target creature, kill the Magus of the Moon. Okay. And now we draw the Beseech the Mirror again. Let's play Brainstorm. And that was not great. Okay, so we've had a little bit of bad luck with our Brainstorm so far. I think we put back Urza Saga and the Echo. We'll play Verdant Catacombs, if it'll let me. There we go. And now we'll play the Chrome Mox, imprint Beseech the Mirror, and then we'll pass the turn. And now Fable of the Mirror Breaker, they can discard and then draw. They do not discard anything. That is terrifying. Goblin Rabble Master. 2 cards left in their hand here. Blood Moon. Okay, well, I will fetch in response to that. So we're looking for a Dark Ritual off of our Surveil land here. Don't need a Verdant Catacombs, that can go to the graveyard. Okay. I suppose even if I find a Dark Ritual, I am unable to win. So I could play Beseech the Mirror, but I could not cast anything off of Gaia's Will. I suppose I could cast a Brainstorm. Draw Thoughtseize. That does not help me. We will pass. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki happens. Goblin Rabble Master. So this is going to be my final draw step here. Okay. And Burning Wish, which is not good enough. Alright, so we're going to lose this. In this league, we went 1-4 with a list that I've been testing. So, bummer. Losses happen, not the end of the world. let's talk about the deck list a little bit. So this isn't actually 16.2. I would just like to clarify that. These are just test lists that I've numbered, so they're not the same thing as something else in my account. So if you're like paying super close attention to the numbers, don't, because this is just a test list. All right, so let's talk about the deck list though. So Abrade, how did we feel about that over Abrupt Decay? I don't know. It was one league. I did cast the Abrade once, but I couldn't bring it in against the Jeskai Vile deck. So that's good and bad. Like, I could cast it against Moonstompy, the more popular deck in the format, but it's not as flexible as Abrupt Decay. So that could be problematic. Additionally, Abrupt Decay is mostly for Collector Oof matchups. If you look at the Nadu deck, that is a deck with Force of Will and Green Sun for Collector Oof. Abrade answers Collector Oof quite easily, and it's easy to cast off of Urza Saga, but it could also be countered by a Force of Will. So I'm not sure. Silent Gravestone we did not use because we did not face Reanimator. That said, if this was the wear down, we could have won that game 1 against Moonstompy. There was another spot in this league where I could have gotten it, but didn't because I was playing Silent Gravestone. So I'm not sure if I want to continue testing that card. Peer into the Abyss I still think is pretty good. I think people will see the value in this once they try beating Consigned to Memory plus, you know, Graveyard Hate or whatever. Like, having the Peer has become a lot better since Modern Horizons 3, I believe. I think that's really it. I think if you end up going back to 16.0, which is this list, this is probably what I recommend. This is our list that is on the Mox field. And like, I've been testing other things, like 16.1, for example, was this Silent Gravestone list. This is the Cyborg Guide list that's up on our website right now. But I think 16.0 is actually what I would recommend for a large event at this very moment. And, you know, like, if I don't do well testing something out, that's okay. I'm just trying to prepare for Eternal Weekend at this point and share some of my madman ramblings. So I'd be interested in your feedback. Do you want Wear Down? Do you want Abrupt Decay? Do you want Abrade, since Abrade is more popular against decks like, or more effective versus popular decks like Moonstompy? These are things I'm trying to gauge here. I realized that we did not face a one-ring deck this league, but we did face at least one spot where Grapeshot was somewhat relevant. I mean, it was a corner case, but somewhat relevant. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't see myself going back to Grapeshot. I've been so impressed by Approach of the Second Sun that I don't know why I would go back to Grapeshot. So that's what I've got for today. Let me know what you think of the deck list in the comment section down below. Sorry that I didn't win more, but sometimes that's just magic, and I think it's good to upload leagues where I showcase myself getting smushed, because, I mean, my last couple have been 5-0, undefeated, I'm so great or whatever. But the truth is that Magic is a lot of valleys, highs, lows, peaks, all that good stuff. And we don't all win all the time. So let's check what the spreadsheet says for my win percentage after losing this. Okay, so after this loss, post Saga TES change. So with all Saga TES lists, including test lists, I am 69%. Nice. Woo, all the memes. But with only 16.0, I am still 75%, which would be the list that I recommend that has Abrupt Decay and Wear Down. I've played 2 leagues with this that did not go super well. The Silent Gravestone never really came up in those. So I'm obviously, this list is not that different from this one. It's just the difference of the Wear Down. And then this list has no Wear Down, and it's not playing Abrupt Decay. So give or take some stuff. Let me know what you think. I really am interested in your feedback here. So thank you for watching, all that good stuff. Have a great day, and as always, keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There's no better way to support our channel. If you're interested in elevating your combo game, visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring for details about our coaching sessions. Don't worry, there's more great combo content coming right up.